Lost sectors, lost sectors, lost sectors. You either love them or you hate them, but one way or the other, you kind of have to deal with them as you are gonna play the game that we love to play, Destiny. The goal here today is to walk you through a legend lost sector. We'll do master lost sectors at a different time, but to walk you through a legend lost sector in order to show you some of the tips and tricks that I use, or some things I'm just generally thinking about as I'm going through a lost sector. Hopefully this can not only help you get to faster clear times for lost sectors, but also be able to do them more proficiently, as well as completing the platinum and flawless rewards for higher drop rates. Outside of completing the legendary campaign for any given DLC, legend lost sectors or master lost sectors are one of the key ways that you are able to get key exotics that you need for your character inside the game. If you're more of a visual learner and you don't want all of my wonderful, vibrant tutorials and or commentary, feel free to skip to the timestamp available in the description. If not, let's go ahead and get into things. Lost sectors are unlocked by first just going to any of the lost sectors available on any of the planets in the Destiny 2 universe, completing the lost sector, and then after that it will be unlocked. You'll be able to see the legend or master version of that lost sector that you have unlocked by looking at the daily rotator of what the lost sector is. Helpful third-party websites like Today in Destiny are some of the easiest ways to be able to keep track of not only what the lost sector is for that day, but also what exotic is available for grinding from that lost sector. If you are a guardian that's experienced at running lost sectors, then feel free to go ahead and run whatever you want. If it's going to help you get the clear, go ahead and use it. But for most guardians, it's actually really important to be able to look at what the parameters are for that specific lost sector and then be able to build craft so you have what you need to be successful in the lost sector. For the lost sector, I'll be taking you all through today. First and foremost, of course, all equipment is locked. You have a limited amount of revive. You are able to get additional revives once you kill champions. And then of course, you have the type of champions that you'll be facing in this specific lost sector. For today, additional parameters you'll face are arc threat, which is a 25% additional increase to incoming arc damage. Shocker, where defeated goblins spawn a pool of deadly arc damage at their feet. The overcharge buff, which applies to any of the current season's weapons. Void Surge, which allows for 25% more damage coming from void weapons, and then a 25% boost to strand damage, given that strand is the new subclass that we have with the Lightfall expansion. With those things in mind, here is the breakdown of my build. I'm rocking Fallen Sunstar, which gives me more ionic traces as I'm defeating enemies. More ionic traces buffs my abilities, and the more I get, the more melee and grenade damage I can do. On my arms, I have my firepower buffs, which is going to allow me to create orbs of power with my grenades. On my chest, I am rocking double arc resist, given that it's a 25% increase to arc damage in this lost sector. On my legs, arc weapon surge, since I'm rocking 2 arc weapons, and then a mixture of the bomber and outreach perks so that I can continue to feed into my rift. My rift is my class ability. My class ability gives me an arc soul. Arc soul helps me do damage and helps with ad control. For weapons, I'm rocking Thunderlord with the Caddy just for ad control, as well as putting out pretty good damage on majors as well as the boss. Forbearance from the Vow of the Disciple raid with chain reaction to help with controlling ads, as well as the arc shields, as well as Peace of Mind, which is just a solid pulse rifle that's going to be able to help me with the anti-barrier champions. For the kit itself, we are rocking the Stormcaller class. We have a healing rift just to keep us safe. We have burst glide, which is good for mobility. We have the ball lightning melee that sends a charged ball of electric energy towards the enemy. Pulse grenade, since it does a little bit of damage over time since storm grenades got nerfed. Our aspects being Arc Soul, as well as Electrostatic Mind. If you need to go and look at those descriptions, feel free to pause here. The fragments being Spark of Beacons, Spark of Ions, Spark of Magnitude, and Spark of Shock. Again, you can go back and pause if you need to go and read the full description, but all of these abilities and this specific combination are going to allow me the opportunity to not only go forward and send out my abilities to be able to do damage to the enemies I want, but also help refund that energy back so I can continue to do damage. Now that we know the build, now that we know the kit, let's go ahead and get into the review of the footage. Now, although I am familiar with this specific lost sector and I've done it many times and also overpowered, one of the first things you saw me do is get to cover. I want to be able to get to cover, pop my rift so I can have my arc soul and be able to have my little arc buddy be with me to help start clearing ads and making room for me to progress forward. As I get closer and closer, moving forward to help not only spawn more ads, but progress the encounter, you see that I'm using a combination of both my melee as well as my grenade to be able to proc the Ionic Traces effect. The Ionic Traces again are buffing my ability, so the more I'm using them, the more I'm getting back. As I'm doing this, I'm proccing the blinding effect, and that allows me, as you see right there, to be able to burst down the overload champion fairly easily. One thing to always be careful of is the snipers in lost sectors. For some reason, they just don't miss, for the most part, just don't miss, and also they hurt a lot. So you want to be able to play cover, duck in and out, and be able to make sure that you're safe as you're also taking them out as quickly as you can. Moving up the stairs, I know there are a bunch of enemies waiting for me, so I take 1 second to go ahead and reload my weapons, and then I press forward. Again, this combination of the melee, which is going ahead and sending out that energy, I'm helping to proc the Ionic Traces, that buffs my abilities, and we continue the loop. One thing to note, especially if I'm going for a solo flawless clear, I'm always going to be looking for 1, the best place to have cover and hide and protect myself, and then 2, I'm checking my corners. So you'll see that movement I'm doing a lot, where I'm doing that left to right shake, and I'm being able to just check where those corners are and end up in a good position to be able to do damage. I know the Hydra, for instance, can basically one-shot me, so you see right there, I go ahead and bail out, back up to a better spot, and then be able to do damage from afar. Fun fact, if you didn't know, any weapon that has anti-barrier on it for the seasonal mod or just has it intrinsically can actually shoot through shields. Again, whatever angle you can find that's going to keep you safe, just play around with it. Again, the more you run these lost sectors, the more you'll understand. Never forgetting to go ahead and reload my weapons before I go into a new engagement. I'm getting ready to press forward. As we press forward, I know that I now have the 2 new anti-champions that I'm going to have to deal with. You can't get around not having something to take out their shields, so my first job is to do enough damage just to be able to get them to pop their shields, take down their shields, and then they're vulnerable enough for me to be able to take them out. Now for a second here, I did forget about the second wyvern because the second wyvern likes to teleport, and you saw that because I went ahead and decided to hold my super up into this point before we got to the boss room, I now have the super to now go ahead and make the play to not only survive, but go ahead and take that wyvern out. Always remembering to check corners, find the best place to play my life, and then move forward. In this scenario, I pop my rift and use the third-party animation to be able to peek around the corner and see where the anti-champion is. This allows me to figure out what is going to be the best setup to take out the anti-champion and move forward, which, as you see, good positioning allows me to have a pretty fast cleanup and moving on to the next thing. Now that we cleared out all the majority of the ads, we're just down to the final phase with the boss. Again, I'm kind of using the cheesing of my melee, my grenades, my arc soul. Again, just free damage. I'm really not having to think about things. I am using my forbearance, but that's just more of the chain reaction perk, just to be able to make things explode and make my life a little bit easier because there are a lot of ads that will spawn. When things are safe, I peek cover, do damage to the boss, go back to ad control. Rinse and repeat. Again, remember from our build, the proccing of those ionic traces is really what's going to be able to refund my energy and just be able to continue to spam those grenades and melees as I'm putting in that work nose damage. And again, you also see some of that chain reaction explosion is also getting to the boss as well. So again, don't be afraid to really like double down on something like grenades or melees or whatever you have in your specific build that's going to be able to, again, refund your energy and be able to do more damage. When things get too spicy, I back out, play my life, recollect myself, and then keep moving. For the examples of this walkthrough, I do go back a little bit farther than I normally would. I probably typically would just go ahead and keep pressing forward with a little bit more of the confidence that I would typically do. But for most folks, again, back up as far as you need to be able to feel safe, reload your weapons, gather yourself, maybe wait for your super or your rift or whatever your class ability is, and then proceed forward to finish the encounter. You'll see now that my abilities did so much work, it actually accidentally killed the boss. I finish off that final enemy, and then we are good to go. All in all, taking about 6 minutes, and that's taking it like at a moderate to slow pace to be able to clear this level of a Legend Lost sector and get the loot. With practice and confidence, this is definitely one of the lost sectors that you can clear in like 2 to 3 minutes, if not a little bit faster, if you're really optimizing, and just being able to breeze through it, get the clear. RNG playing a factor of whether you actually get exotic or not, at least for this season until Bungie implements the season 21 changes, and then you move forward. If you've never done a lost sector before, I would highly encourage you to go out there and give it a try. Not only are these good practice grounds for fine-tuning your skills as well as your build crafting, but they're actually super helpful stepping stones in terms of actually being more prepared to tackle dungeons as well as raids. When you know about how you can attack your enemy, when you know about what builds are going to be best for certain environments, you actually become a better fire team member by knowing what you're bringing to the table, helping you stay alive and not die to silly things, and then obviously getting the clear. I hope this guide has been helpful, and for folks who are a little bit newer or again just haven't done as many lost sectors in Destiny 2, have a little bit more familiarity of how to approach them as well as what they can do to improve. If you take your time, play your life, have a little bit of patience as well as a little bit of confidence, you can get it done. If you like this content, please like and subscribe, as we will be having more and more guides and walkthroughs like this that help you better understand how you can be successful in Destiny 2. Not to mention our live streams on both YouTube and Twitch, where we do live helps with chat to help people to get through content in Destiny 2 as well as meet some friends. Looking forward to seeing you all Starside. Peace.